Imagine for a moment that you're sitting inside a lecture hall about to take an exam, but in your mind, you're inside your childhood bedroom and you're looking at a magical magenta monkey. Those three words all start with the letter M, which helps remind you, oh yeah, I'm going to use my memory palace. In today's video, we're going to talk about an incredibly useful technique for studying, and that is creating a memory palace. A memory palace is a method of memory enhancement that uses visual images placed in specific locations inside a familiar environment that you remember in your mind. Today, I'm going to show you how to use the technique of assigning information to different features within a memory palace in order to remember key pieces of information when you're taking an exam. Considering the fact that human evolution depends on visual memory in order for survival, it makes sense that we would be able to remember visual images a lot more easily than words written on a page, like how we often do when we're trying to cram before an exam by reviewing our notes or rereading our assigned readings. So step one for creating a memory palace is to choose your location. It's often best to have a location in mind that you're very familiar with. So a lot of people like to use things like their home or the home they grew up in, possibly even their school or even their work environment. The key is that we need to have lots of features inside of the memory palace in order to assign pieces of information to different locations. So for example, if you're using your childhood home, what do you recall about the furniture that was in there? Was there a table, a couch, possibly even a fireplace, a TV, a refrigerator? All of those can become features inside your memory palace. Step two is to create a route through those locations inside of your memory palace. It's often recommended to use the same route throughout your memory palace each time because that spatial information is also helpful for recalling information. So picture yourself walking through the front door, and if you were to turn to your right inside your memory palace, what would you see? That could be location number one. Move through your memory palace, assigning different spaces to the different features inside. You can use some unexpected things like the shelves inside the refrigerator if those are particularly memorable to you, or even things like artwork on the wall. Step three is to assign pieces of information that you want to remember to the various locations inside your memory palace. So for example, if you're taking a math exam and you want to remember specific formulas, you're going to assign each of those formulas to a different location inside your memory palace. If you're taking a history exam and you need to remember certain key battles or dates or royal succession lines, then assign those to various locations inside one room of your memory palace. The next step is the most important step. This is where you are going to create a visual image of that information or a representation in your mind of that information that's going to jog your memory as you move through your memory palace. And the reason why this is so effective is that human brains are much better at recalling visual imagery than they are recalling specific facts, numbers, dates, and even written words. If you can create a visual image to help jog your memory inside of your memory palace, it's going to be much easier to retain large amounts of information when you're taking an exam. And this is actually even what the winners of memory championship competitions use in order to recall a large volume of information that they need to remember quickly and accurately. If you want to make your visual images even more memorable, it's important to make them specific and interesting to your mind. Human brains find things that are either shocking, funny, or even violent to be the most memorable visual images. It makes a lot of sense if you think about how human brains evolved for survival. So you can make your visual images much more memorable inside of your memory palace by turning up the volume on the sensory details and making the images a little bit silly. Like, for example, add a top hat or a silly costume, or you can even use use alliteration, such as I did in the beginning of this video, all of my descriptions of my visual image start with the letter M, and we tend to remember things if they have either alliteration or if they rhyme. And finally, we have step 4, which is to visit your memory palace often. It's important to practice not only the layout of your memory palace, including the various locations, but also to practice calling up those visual images that you want to associate with the information you're trying to remember. If there's something that you're having a hard time recalling inside your memory palace, it might be the case that you need to either choose a different association, a different visual image inside your mind, or you need to turn up the volume on the ridiculousness of the visual image or make it even more shocking. You can even make it a little bit graphic or vulgar. Remember, this is just a technique for you to recall inside your own mind when you're taking an exam, and that's going to help those images stick more in your brain so that you can recall them even years later after you've created your detailed and specific memory palace. So I teach writing classes, and I like to tell my students that if they are going into an exam where they need to write an essay or there's an essay portion on the exam, to consider using the memory palace not to recall specific facts or information they want to include, but rather to remember the various topics that they want to include in the body of their essay. So the path through their memory palace for a written exam, like an essay exam, can be the various arguments they want to make assigned to the various locations. And those are great things to include visual depictions of, because you can also see the relationship between those ideas. And that's going to help the words flow out of your fingertips and onto the page. So there you have it, a quick and easy way to build a memory palace to help you retain more information when preparing for an exam. Comment below if you plan to use this strategy in your upcoming exam, and make sure to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.